In this Texas, a mother of 4 was found beneath Lake Worth, with evidence showing she had been submerged using a heavy concrete block.
Elizabeth Arellano was found with a rope tied around her neck, her body weighted down with a boulder. But her husband has now been arrested and charged with capital murder. Before he was arrested, he was posting on social media about helping with her burial.
The very person who once vowed to protect her was the one who ended her life in tragedy and ultimately paid the price with a life sentence in prison.
The victim's furious first.
You are a monster. I hate you. I hate you. You're a piece of
Elizabeth Arellano, 28 years old, was born on August 16, 1987, in the city of Fort Worth, Texas, a vibrant and bustling metropolis in the northeastern part of the state, home to nearly 1 million people. She was part of a large, loving family and had 2 sisters, Johanna and Alejandra, to whom she was extremely close. Although her parents had separated, Elizabeth remained close to her mother, Juanita, and her stepfather, Fidel, who treated her like his own daughter. He once said that their bond was as strong as that of any biological father and daughter, filled with mutual respect and affection. Family meant everything to Elizabeth. She always put others before herself and was ready to help anyone in need. While attending Diamond Hill Jarvis High School, she met Rodolfo Arellano, known as Rudy, and love blossomed between them. The two later married and had 4 children together, 3 boys and 1 girl, who became her pride and the reason she lived and worked hard every day. Elizabeth was a devoted mother who taught her children to love, respect, and treat others with kindness. As a devoted Christian, she regularly attended church services and lived with unwavering faith. Her gentleness and compassion were evident in her work as a medical assistant, a profession she took great pride in and had dedicated many years to, helping countless patients in her community. Her life seemed perfect: a stable job, 4 wonderful children, and a home that appeared peaceful. But beneath the surface, her marriage to Rudy began to show cracks due to increasing control and tension. By April 2016, after 13 years together, Elizabeth decided to file for divorce. She moved out of their shared home and returned to live with her parents, taking the children with her. Although it was a difficult decision, she believed it was the right step to begin a new chapter in her life, one filled with hope, freedom, and the courage to face whatever challenges lay ahead. On April 15, 2016, despite the cracks in her marriage, Elizabeth remained cheerful and optimistic. Throughout the day, she appeared happy and healthy as usual. That evening, she went out with a few female co-workers to a local bar in Fort Worth to relax and enjoy happy hour after a busy work week. No one could have imagined that this would be the last time they would ever see her. The dinner was filled with laughter and light-hearted conversation, and Elizabeth's joyful presence made everyone feel at ease. After leaving the bar, she drove back to her parents' home in the northern part of the city, where she and her children were temporarily staying. In the early morning hours of April 16th, she texted one of her co-workers to let them know when she had arrived home safely. That was the last message anyone ever received from Elizabeth. Early in the morning on April 16th, as the first rays of sunlight slipped through the window, Elizabeth's mother, Juanita, began to feel that something was wrong. Normally, Elizabeth would wake up early to prepare breakfast for her children, but that morning, the house was unusually silent. She called her daughter's name several times but received no answer. Worry began to flood her mind as she searched every room, only to find no sign of Elizabeth. When she stepped outside, She saw Elizabeth's car still parked right in front of the house, as if she had just arrived home. But as she got closer, her heart sank. Inside the car were Elizabeth's purse, handbag, and cell phone, all neatly placed on the passenger seat. The keys were still in the ignition, and there was no indication that she had left voluntarily. This was completely unlike Elizabeth. She was a responsible woman who never left the house without informing her family. And above all, she would never abandon her children. It was as if time had stopped the moment she stepped out of the car, and then she vanished without a trace. Overwhelmed by a growing sense of dread, Juanita immediately realized that something terribly serious had happened, and she quickly called the police to report her daughter missing. When police arrived at the scene, they quickly launched an investigation into Elizabeth's disappearance. Their first task was to reconstruct the entire timeline of that night. Every minute and every detail that might help reveal what happened after she returned home. Investigators began speaking with her friends, co-workers, and family members, including Elizabeth's ex-husband, Rodolfo Rudy Arellano. When questioned at his residence, Rudy appeared calm and stated that the last time he heard from Elizabeth was around 2:39 a.m., shortly after she left her gathering with friends and returned to her parents' home. According to him, Elizabeth had called to say she had arrived safely and that she planned to bring the children to him as soon as possible. Rudy also claimed that Elizabeth mentioned she intended to stay overnight at a nearby hotel afterward to rest and clear her mind. However, when she didn't show up the next morning as promised, Rudy said he simply assumed she had changed her mind and decided to remain at her parents' house a little longer. On the surface, his story seemed reasonable, but detectives couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And from that seemingly ordinary statement, the first clues to a far deeper mystery began to emerge. To verify Rudy's statement, investigators needed to know exactly what he had been doing during the time Elizabeth went missing in order to rule out any possible involvement. When questioned, Rudy claimed he had spent the entire day meeting up with a friend and returned home around midnight, staying there until about 7:30 a.m. the next morning. His story sounded coherent, but there were no witnesses or evidence to confirm it. As the investigation team continued their urgent search for the missing young mother, an unexpected piece of information suddenly shifted the direction of the case. Just a few hours after Rudy's reported phone call with Elizabeth, around 3:30 a.m., the 911 emergency center received a call from a man who had been night fishing at Lake Worth. What initially seemed like a random incident would soon become the key to uncovering the heartbreaking mystery behind the disappearance of Elizabeth Arellano.
Looks like they might have been tied to something.
They might have been tied to something.
Yeah, they hit the water and they're gone.
The call came from a man who was night fishing at Lake Worth, near the Interstate 820 bridge that spans the water. He reported hearing a loud noise coming from the bridge above, followed by what sounded like a terrified scream that suddenly stopped. The distance from the bridge railing to the surface of the water was about 40 feet, high enough to cause a severe fall. As soon as the call was received, Fort Worth police units, along with firefighters and a team of divers, rushed to the scene. Using high-powered lights, they scanned the quiet, dark surface of the lake. Beneath the murky water, they spotted an unusual shape floating near the bridge. When the divers approached, they confirmed it was the body of a young woman. She was still wearing her brown medical scrubs, the uniform she usually wore after finishing her shift at the clinic. When she was brought to shore, there was no doubt left. The woman was Elizabeth Arellano. The scene left everyone at the site in silence. A night that had been calm over Lake Worth had just become the beginning of a tragedy that would shake the entire Fort Worth community. When Elizabeth's body was pulled from the water, investigators were stunned to discover a concrete block weighing about 119 pounds tightly tied around her neck with a thick rope. A report later issued by the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that her passing was caused by drowning, and the heavy block had been the object that dragged her body to the bottom of the lake. According to crime scene specialists, the weight appeared to have been deliberately used to prevent the body from surfacing, suggesting that someone had tried to conceal the incident. One of the officers present that night recalled that the scene left everyone speechless, as it seemed Elizabeth may still have been breathing when she fell into the freezing water. It was a tragedy that left even Fort Worth's most seasoned officers in shock. From that moment, the case officially shifted from a missing person investigation to a serious criminal case. Police were now racing against time to find whoever was responsible for such a calculated and heartless act. They knew the person behind this had planned carefully and needed to be stopped before harming anyone else. In the first days of the investigation, several theories emerged. Had Elizabeth been followed home from the bar? Was there someone lying in wait who attacked her the moment she arrived? Or was this a plan set in motion by someone she knew? Those questions became the driving force behind a tense and relentless pursuit of justice that was only just beginning. One of the first steps investigators took was to determine exactly where everyone had been during the time frame of the incident, in order to rule out as many people as possible. Rudy, Elizabeth's ex-husband, firmly insisted that he had been at home at the time and had nothing to do with what happened. However, the detectives' instincts told them not to remove him from the list of suspects too quickly. As the investigation continued, news of Elizabeth's body being discovered spread throughout Fort Worth, sending shockwaves through the local community. Friends, neighbors, and co-workers could not believe that a kind, devoted, and well-loved woman like Elizabeth had become the victim of such a cruel act. One neighbor told CBS 11 in disbelief, "How could someone do something so horrible? I just can't understand how a person could be so heartless toward another human being." That statement reflected the collective emotions of the entire neighborhood: shock, sorrow, and a profound sense of loss that weighed heavily on the whole community. A GoFundMe page was quickly set up to help the family cover Elizabeth's funeral expenses, and within a short time, donations had exceeded $11,000. Rudy even shared the fundraiser link on his personal Facebook page and posted flyers for the memorial event, appearing to be a grieving husband mourning the loss of his wife. On the day of the funeral, family members, friends, and co-workers gathered to say their final goodbyes. The atmosphere was heavy with sorrow as everyone approached to see the woman, John, who had once been known for her bright smile, now lying peacefully in a white casket. Johanna, Elizabeth's sister, handled all the arrangements for the service and even bought a turtleneck sweater for her sister to wear, to cover the marks left on her neck by the rope. In that heartbreaking moment, Johanna stood beside Rudy, who, by all appearances, should have been the most devastated person there. But when investigators observed him more closely, something didn't add up. Throughout the entire funeral, Rudy showed little genuine emotion. He didn't shed a single tear, nor did he seem anxious or broken, even though their marriage had fallen apart. Elizabeth was still the woman he had shared more than a decade of his life with, and the mother of his 4 beloved children. Yet in the face of such a loss, Rudy's detached demeanor made detectives uneasy. as if behind that calm and distant expression, he was hiding something far darker. As the investigation into Elizabeth's tragedy continued, detectives began reviewing every security camera around the neighborhood where her parents lived, hoping to find any clue that could reveal what really happened that night. Then, one detail from the CCTV footage made the entire team stop in their tracks. At around 3:02 a.m., less than half an hour after Elizabeth was believed to have arrived home safely, a white pickup truck was seen driving down the street near her parents' house before heading toward the Interstate 820 bridge over Lake Worth. What caught investigators' attention was that Elizabeth's ex-husband, Rudy, owned a truck of the exact same make, model, and color. When they compared travel data, they found that the route taken by this vehicle matched perfectly with the shortest path from Elizabeth's parents' home to the location where her body had been discovered. Although Rudy continued to insist that he had been home the entire night, the technical evidence began to tell a very different story. When police examined his phone's GPS and activity logs, they discovered that Rudy's device had pinged in the area near Elizabeth's parents' home at the exact time she disappeared. As investigators dug deeper into the case, they began reviewing all of Rudy's phone data and quickly uncovered a pattern of suspicious behavior on the night Elizabeth disappeared. On the evening of April 15th, while Elizabeth was out with friends, Rudy repeatedly tried to contact her. He sent her messages asking when she would be done with work, even though she had left her workplace hours earlier. Location records revealed that at the time he sent those messages, Rudy's phone had pinged near the area where Elizabeth worked, suggesting he might have been nearby, watching or waiting for her. He didn't stop there. He continued calling her multiple times throughout the night, but none of his calls were answered. Data from his mobile device showed that after leaving the area of Elizabeth's workplace, Rudy's phone then moved toward her parents' neighborhood, the very place he knew she was temporarily living with their children. These details began to form a disturbing picture. A man unable to accept the end of his marriage, still trying to control and follow the woman who had left him. However, to charge Rudy, the police needed more than just assumptions. They needed concrete evidence, proof that could not be denied, to show he had lied about his whereabouts and was directly connected to what had happened to Elizabeth that fateful night. To strengthen their case, investigators obtained a warrant to search Rudy's home. During the search, they seized several pieces of evidence that appeared to be directly connected to the crime, including a length of rope and fragments of concrete that matched the kind found at the scene. A crucial breakthrough came when detectives decided to show Elizabeth's oldest son a photo of the rope used to tie the concrete block around his mother's neck. The boy immediately recognized it as the same rope he used to play with in the backyard of his father's house. He clearly remembered that the rope had gone missing shortly before his mother left home on that fateful night. When police then showed him a photo of the concrete block recovered from Lake Worth, he again stated that it looked exactly like the ones his father had used when helping a friend replace a fence. Those fence posts had been set in concrete, and the same type of material was later found in the bed of Rudy's pickup truck. With a growing body of evidence, investigators concluded that on that fateful night, after leaving her gathering with friends and returning to her parents' home, Elizabeth had been ambushed by Rudy right outside the house. They believed he had been waiting in the dark, attacked, and overpowered her before she could make it inside. Rudy then placed Elizabeth in his pickup truck and drove straight to the Interstate 820 bridge over Lake Worth, the same spot where, just a few hours later, fishermen would hear desperate cries echoing through the night. There, he tied the concrete block around her neck and pushed her into the cold water, in an attempt to conceal his actions. 10 days after Elizabeth's body was recovered from the lake, police officially arrested Rudy Arellano on suspicion of being involved in the case. He was charged with causing the tragic loss of his wife and was booked into the Mansfield City Jail, with bail set at $500,000.
Elizabeth Arellano was found with a rope tied around her neck, her body weighted down with a boulder. But her husband has now been arrested and charged with capital murder. Before he was arrested, he was posting on social media about helping with her burial. Fox 4's Phil Alvarado near the scene where she was found with more. Phil.
Hi, Steve. It was about 3:30 in the morning on April 16th. A couple of fishermen were on Lake Worth when they heard some screaming and then saw what looked like someone falling off the bridge into the water. It looked like the 28-year-old mother of four had jumped off the Loop 820 bridge over Lake Worth. At least that's what everyone was supposed to think. Elizabeth Arellano's mother, Juanita Galvan, says in Spanish she forgives the person who killed her daughter because she doesn't want anger in her heart. She won't speak her son-in-law's name.
She was a great mother. She was a great daughter, a great sister, a great aunt.
We want to stay focused on the memory of Elizabeth, known as Betty, and stay focused on the kids.
Her family says they'll take them in, but they miss their mother. The person everyone says was the glue of their family is gone.
Somebody must have seen something, because there's always somebody out there, you know, and if they did, somebody seen something, please come forward.
This is how she would want us to be together and, taking care of, watching her babies.
And Fort Worth police are actually asking the public, anybody else who may have seen something that night that looks suspicious, they're asking for them to come forward.
Well, Doug, this family is grieving, but they're also on a mission. They're rallying to raise the couple's 4 children, but they also want North Texans to know that Elizabeth's life was so much bigger than how she died.
She was a lovely, lovely mother. I want to say a lovely daughter.
To the world, she was Elizabeth Arellano, a murder victim whose body, bound with rope and a concrete boulder, was pulled from Lake Worth.
Everybody you met will tell you my sister always had a great smile on her face. I mean, she was on top of all of us, constantly. She was like a mini mom to us too, So that was her. That's why she was the glue to the family.
The couple has 4 children, ages 4 to 12, but family members insist they have not been orphaned.
I have 3 kids, now I have 7. We're all gonna come together and we're all a family, my sister Alejandra, and we're gonna take care of those kids. They're our priority right now and they're our main concern.
A witness who lived near Rudy's home later spoke to local media about what they had observed just one day after the tragedy occurred.
A next-door neighbor who didn't want to be seen on TV says the day after Elizabeth Arellano was killed, her husband sat in a pickup in his driveway playing music and drinking beer.
As Elizabeth's family remained engulfed in unbearable grief, they tried to come to terms with the reality that the gentle woman who had always shown love and kindness to everyone around her was gone forever. In interviews with the media, Elizabeth's mother and sisters spoke of her with deep love and pride, saying she was not only a wonderful mother, but also the heart that held their entire family together. Meanwhile, Rudy Arellano continued to deny any involvement in the tragedy, even as the evidence against him continued to mount. However, facing the weight of justice and the possibility of the death penalty if convicted at trial, Rudy was forced to make a final choice. After several weeks of negotiations between his defense attorney and the prosecutors, he agreed to a plea deal, a decision that Elizabeth's family also accepted. Not out of forgiveness, but because they wanted to end the long, painful ordeal and bring closure to the drawn-out court process. On Wednesday, January 30th, 2019, Rudy Arellano officially pled guilty to kidnapping and causing the death of his wife, Elizabeth Arellano. The plea agreement spared him from the death penalty, but ensured he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. For Elizabeth's family, the moment he confessed in court, was their chance to look directly into the eyes of the man who had destroyed the life of their daughter, sister, and mother, and to tell him that justice, though delayed, would never be forgotten.
For the family of his wife, a chance to face him in court after he pleaded guilty to that crime.
A grieving mother collapses after coming face to face with her daughter's killer. He was also confronted by the victim's furious sisters.
You are a monster. I hate you. I hate you. You're a piece of
Rudy Arellano's coldness shocked even the most seasoned investigators. Just 2 hours after taking the life of the woman who had once been his wife and the mother of his children, he casually posted a meme on Facebook that read, "How long can a person go without drinking before they're gone?" adding the comment, "I'm starting to worry." The act sent chills through anyone who knew Elizabeth, exposing a level of apathy and arrogance that was hard to comprehend. In the days that followed, Rudy even attended the funeral, pretending to be a grieving husband, standing beside his wife's casket with a false look of sorrow. He shed a few tears in front of Elizabeth's friends and family, people who had no idea that he was the very person responsible for the tragedy. Throughout the investigation and trial, Rudy never once offered an apology or an explanation, nor did he show a single sign of remorse. In the end, the court handed down its verdict. Rudy Arellano was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, ending any hope of freedom. His defense attorney called it the right resolution, but for Elizabeth's family, it was simply justice served, a small measure compared to the lifelong pain they would carry. They found some comfort in knowing that Rudy would never again walk free, never again experience the freedom he had stolen from such a gentle woman. During the hearing, Johanna, Elizabeth's sister, stood before the court, her voice trembling as she read her victim impact statement, words that left the entire courtroom in silence.
You robbed all of us from being able to enjoy the wonderful and beautiful human that she was. She will never get to see her kids grow up. She will continue to miss all the holidays. She will miss out on all the high school graduations, her future grandchildren, and most important, the right to live to be happy and enjoy being the great mother that she was. How dare you? How dare you take matters into your own hands?
In her statement before the court, Johanna tearfully recalled the painful moment of standing next to Rudy at her sister's funeral. Her voice trembled as she said, "You knew exactly what you had done, yet you stood there beside my sister's body, pretending to grieve and cry with me. You told me on the day of her burial that you wished it were you lying in that casket, that you just wanted to be there with her. You even said that when you married my sister. You believed it would be till death do us part, but you didn't realize you'd be the one to make that happen so soon. You are nothing but a coward." The entire courtroom fell silent, broken only by the sound of quiet sobs from family members. Elizabeth's stepfather, Fidel, then stood up, his eyes red as he spoke about the children. He said,
The children cry often. They miss their mother very much. He took her away from them, and now he will spend the rest of his life behind bars, wondering what would have become of them. Hope everybody has. Thank you.
Outside the courtroom, as the trial came to an end and Rudy Arellano was led away, Elizabeth's family stood before the media cameras with weary yet resolute eyes. Her mother, Juanita, held tightly to the hands of her two remaining daughters, her voice trembling as she said,
She lived for those kids. They were her world. And we're going to continue to talk about her every single day like we still do and remember her and keep her memory alive always, always.
Elizabeth Arellano will forever be remembered as the image of a devoted mother, a loving daughter, a caring sister, a loyal friend, and a respected co-worker cherished by everyone who knew her. Her gentleness, compassion, and willingness to help others left a lasting mark on the hearts of all who crossed her path. Though her life ended in tragedy, the love and kindness she brought into the world continue to live on. Her sister Johanna shared that the family will always tell Elizabeth's children stories about their mother, so they will never forget the incredible woman who gave them life. "We will keep talking about her every day," Johanna said, "because the memory of Elizabeth will never fade." To her friends, colleagues, and those she once helped, Elizabeth was more than just a kind and thoughtful woman. She was a symbol of compassion and unconditional love. No matter how much time passes, in the hearts of those who loved her, Elizabeth Arellano will live on forever. The story of Elizabeth Arellano is not only a heartbreaking case recorded in the history of Texas, but also a powerful reminder of how fragile trust and love can be, and the importance of setting boundaries in every relationship. Elizabeth was a living example of forgiveness, of a mother's strength who lived for her children, and of a kind heart that never stopped loving despite pain and betrayal. From her story, we learn that no one deserves to endure control or suffering from the very person who once promised to protect them. If you are in a relationship that makes you feel afraid or trapped, speak up. Reach out for help, because silence can sometimes lead to tragedies that can never be undone. Thank you for staying until the end of today's story in True Crime Documentary, where we not only recount real cases, but also honor those who are gone and remind each other of the values of compassion, awareness, and justice. If you were moved by Elizabeth's story, please share this video. Leave a comment in her memory, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to spread a message of love, trust, and justice. We'll see you in the next episode of True Crime Documentary, where every story is a reminder of truth and the empathy we must never forget.